legendary season of ADAC GT Masters. Brilliant driving. It's phenomenal stuff.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the streets of Nuremberg, to the legendary Norisring, the ADAC GT Masters round 2 of the season, returning to the streets here in the Franconian Monaco for the first time in 15 years. Yes, it was 2008 that we saw Klaus Ludwig win in GT Masters here last time out. That was until yesterday, because yesterday it was the new drivers, the young drivers. It was Elias Zeppelin and Salman Vega who started on pole position. Salman Vega doing the qualifying. Elias Zeppelin taking over the driving in the second half of the race, and they won a pole to flag victory in the ADAC GT Masters race 3 of the season. It was a great return to the streets of Nuremberg for the ADAC GT Masters under glorious skies, and once again today a large crowd is filing its way into this street circuit under blue skies, 22.7 degrees centigrade. You can see the point situation. It was Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller who jumped to the top of the point standings as a result of a third place yesterday. Janis Vitscher, Nico Menzel, a strong second place, took them to second in the points, just 5 points adrift. And Elias Zeppelin and Salman Vega are into the top 3. They had a tough start to the season at Hockenheim with a non-finish due to mechanical failure, but they are well and truly back in the championship hunt as a result of that win yesterday. You can see the rest of the points scrolling through, and you can see that the crowds are lining the tribune, the concrete steps that run alongside the pit straight here at the Norisring. So the cars are just coming into the pit lane now. We are getting ready for qualifying for race 4 of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT Masters. A great camera shot there of Dylan Yip in the Liquimoli Team Engstler Audi. And he, along with Kwanda Mokoena, have been enjoying their debut in the ADAC GT Masters and did a good job yesterday, coming home in a solid 10th place. So the crowd on the steps getting ready under the sunshine. It is a new era for ADAC GT Masters with the DTM coming under the umbrella of the ADAC. The GT Masters taking a slightly different approach to GT3 racing this year. A smaller grid at the moment, but we already have a number of cars lined up for the next round at Nürburgring. Some additional drivers that will be joining us. That's not Jackson Evans, that is Elias Zeppelin, who will be doing the qualifying in the number 48 Landgraf Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. And there he is, a very pretty car that is indeed. Although he had some problems with the driver's door yesterday, had to climb out through the passenger side, and the team clearly will have sorted that overnight. There is Ben Green in the number 20 car. Ben Green is a 2-times winner in ADAC GT Masters. He's also last year's junior champion, along with Eduardo Cosseteng. They are a good partnership in the Schubert Motorsport BMW, and they will be looking for a solid finish today. A 9th place yesterday, probably not quite what Ben Green was hoping for when he got out of bed yesterday morning, but still, it's points on the board, and as the grid grows, as this season progresses, I think those who have got points nice and early will be in the hunt at the end. So we are getting ready for this 20-minute qualifying session, which will start in about 45 seconds, and the cars will have just that 20 minutes in which to put in a competitive time and to score their grid positions. Now, with the sun shining, the track warming up, the track temperature is up to 25 degrees now and climbing. Getting out on track at the optimum time, getting the tyres into the window, and maximising that 20 minutes will be important. And as with yesterday, we'd expect maybe the drivers to maybe get a banker lap in early on in the session, get a time on the board, but it's going to be towards the end of the session that we see the real times coming. Yesterday, the pole position time was a 49.384. Yes, 49. It's not often you talk about lap times that don't have a 1 at the start, but this circuit is just 2.3 kilometers around. That equates to 1.429 miles. It has 4 turns, just 4 turns, 3 to the left and 1 to the right. It is almost an oval, but for the Sculler S-curve chicane that runs out of turn 1 into turn 2 and 3. So it really is 2 hairpins joined together by a couple of straights, and it is a very tight and tricky circuit. There are some very solid concrete barriers and Armco that run right next to the track. There is no room for error. You need to get this right. Any mistakes at all and your day is going to be over, because those concrete barriers are very, very unforgiving. Unusually in GT racing, the cars run in an anti-clockwise direction. Unusually as in we do have some other circuits that we run, but primarily in Europe we run in a clockwise direction. But of course Sachsenring, which comes a little later on in the season, also in the anti-clockwise direction. That is a very different kind of circuit indeed, as indeed was the last time we saw the ADAC GT Masters for their season opener back in early June. That was at the Hockenheim Ring. So Marco Mappelli is out on the track in the number 63 GRT Grasser Racing Lamborghini. That is one of several teams who are running in both ADAC GT Masters but also in the DTM package here this weekend. Now, drivers who are racing in DTM are not allowed to race in GT Masters as well on the same weekend. So that means that Arjun Maini, who we saw at the season opener in Hockenheim, is not permitted to race here this weekend because he's also in the DTM series. It does mean that we welcome back to the grid something of a legend, and that is Maxi Goetz. So Maxi Goetz in the number 3 Team HRT Mercedes returns here. It is his 128th start in GT Masters today. It was his 127th yesterday, logically. He's also going to be at the Sachsenring and Hockenheim a little later on in the season. He was crowned the DTM champion here in 2021, so he likes this circuit, and he sits in for Arjun Maini along with co-driver Petru Umbrerescu. And there is Maxi Goetz. What a wonderful angle that is. Great to welcome Maxi here back to the grid of the ADAC GT Masters. So we have, well, already had 3 minutes of the session that have elapsed, and as you can see, nobody has put in a competitive time yet. As predicted, the track will get quicker, so drivers waiting till late in the session in order to put in their hot time. You currently have just one car out on track at the moment, and that is Kim Louis Schramm. There's a driver who's taken to that BMW very, very well indeed. He was driving an Audi last year in the ADAC GT Masters. He's been an Audi man through and through. He switched to a very different concept there, from mid-engines to front engine in the BMW, and actually he has looked like a really good fit from the moment he sat in the seat of that car. He looked really good at Hockenheim last time out, and was looking pretty competitive yesterday along with co-driver Igor Valilko. So the FK Performance BMW, the only car out on track at the moment. I'm not sure that he's doing anything too competitive, but really just a sighter lap and getting a feel for the circuit this morning, and maybe getting a bit of heat into the tyres. But it is a short qualifying session, and we'd expect all of the action to really come within the last 5 minutes or so. Just to remind you, yesterday's time of 49.384 was the benchmark that was set by Salman Vega. And today, with the temperatures warm, a little bit more rubber down on the track as a result of a day of racing yesterday, we would potentially see the times getting close to the 48s. So, glorious sunshine. Good to be here. I've just joined alongside me. He thought he was going to have a quiet session. Dave Richardson, who's here commentating on DTM this weekend. We never get tired of coming to Norisring, do we, Dave?
Well, I certainly don't. It's one of those places that is absolutely so iconic, and I recall saying to you when we were talking about this place, you'll either love it, it's very Marmite, but I have to say most people absolutely love this place. It's just got such a special atmosphere with so many people that are enjoying the atmosphere, and it's just an awesome track. It's short, you know, everything on paper you would think that's going to be not so great. It just delivers drama and entertainment from the moment the flag drops, whether that be a qualifying session or the racing, to be honest.
And that proved to be the case yesterday, didn't it? So it was a great race yesterday. We only had 10 cars, but that's plenty around here. And as I've already mentioned, the grid is going to increase. We've already got many more cars booked in for Nürburgring next weekend, so less than 7 days away for round 3. Back-to-back racing weekends for the ADAC GT Masters. It's a slightly late start to the season. We only started in early June at Hockenheim, and with the new format and with the late announcement of the GT Masters season, I think perhaps a number of teams weren't able to get started at the start of this season, having committed elsewhere with budgets and the like. But as the season progresses, there are more teams getting involved, and the GT Masters will no doubt be back to the large grids that we've come to know and love in this series before too long. We're riding there with Dylan Yip. We can see the Liquimola team Exler Audi, and that is the car that is being, well, often it's managed and run by Luca Engsler, and of course Father Franz Engsler. He's not a vicar, Father Franz. He is the team owner. Luca Engsler, the legendary driver, former TCR Germany champion, and he has been very much coaching and nurturing these young drivers. In fact, Juan de Mocoena, who's also in the seat of that car, he and Luca Engsler were sharing driving duties at a GT event just a couple of weeks ago, and very successful too. Dylan Yip, a driver who has not had experience in GT3 racing up until joining the GT Masters at Hockenheim in early June. So it is a kind of in at the deep end approach. Luca Engsler doing much of the driver coaching, but this weekend taking something of a backseat because he is driving also in the DTM, and he really needs to put his focus on that. But isn't it great to see these young drivers, I mean, really bypassing the system to a degree, because they haven't come through GT4 or Carrera Cup or anything like that, straight into GT3, no pressure then?
Well, do you know what I find absolutely extraordinary? You're talking there about what information that Yip is receiving from Luca Engsler by way of coaching. It's not like Luca is an old man.
No,
you know, come on.
No.
You know, he's still got tens and decades of years of racing to come. And I mean, Franz, who's in his hundreds now, is still racing and very successfully. So I just find it absolutely amazing that even young established drivers like Luca Engsler, and we can't deny that he's established what success he's had, you know, he's actually passing on the knowledge that he's got and coaching somebody else. And I just find it extraordinary that all of a sudden the driver coaches appear to be even younger, Brian, which makes me feel decrepit.
You and me both, yes. I remember Luca Engsler kind of debuting in motorsport and climbing up the ladder. He was utterly dominant in TCR Germany just a couple of years ago. And Engsler deciding to make the move, they're obviously a famous team run by Franz Engsler, deciding to make the move into GT Masters as a team in their own right, has been a big step for them. They've got hold of a couple of Audi R8s, and they know those cars very well indeed, and have taken to it very well indeed. And,
absolutely right.
Yes, and as you can see here, so Dylan Yip currently just putting the laps in, getting the heat into the tyres and getting up to speed. So we are under the sunshine here. This is a great way to spend your birthday, isn't it, Dave?
Yes. Dylan Yip is at the top of the chart.
21 today. There we go. So yeah, happy birthday, Dave, and thank you for joining us in the commentary box.
Sounded so like Alan Partridge then. It really did. There's another career for you, and boy, isn't it necessary.
Yes. What do you think of the pedestrianisation of Norwich City Centre? Right, we're not going to go there because that is way too niche. Right, 52.367. Well, that is almost exactly 3 seconds slower than the pole for yesterday. So we know that Jackson Evans is not turning up the wick to max at the moment. One thing I would say is that in GT Masters there is a success penalty, so Elias Sepinen and Samuel Vega will be carrying an extra 20 kilos, welcome to my world, in their car during the race.
Do you know, that was nearly funny.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Tomorrow, today, this afternoon, get there. They'll be carrying that in the race, but not in qualifying. It's all fallen apart, and it's not even 9 o'clock yet.
I'd like to apologise for the broadcasting. So, things will get better, but
things will get better
only when he's replaced. Jackson Evans.
Jackson Evans, he's gone quicker. Let me finish. Yanis Fitcher and Nico Menzel, who finished second yesterday, are carrying an extra 10 kilos, and Sven Muller and Finn Gersitz are carrying an extra 5 kilograms. That's a success penalty. They're not carrying it in this qualifying session, though, so it's important for them to get a good grid position, and of course overtaking very difficult here around the streets of the Norisring, and they really need to get up the grid, because that, you think to yourself, oh well, 5, 10, 20 kilos, that's nothing. It is everything. Every last kilo counts in these cars, so that additional weight will be a handicap come the race later on today. Jackson Evans, purple in Sector 1, that means he's the quickest of anybody in Sector 1, and he was the quickest of anybody in Sector 2. He's the first driver into the 49s, 49.983. If the little box on the graphic goes green, it means that it's a personal best. If it goes purple, it means the best of anybody. If it remains grey, it is neither of the above. Marco Mappelli, a 51.985, so still plenty to come from there. These cars are identical to the cars that are running in DTM this weekend, and in the DTM we were in the low 48s in qualifying there, so that's what can be done. And the drivers like Jackson Evans, who are actually quite experienced and has done many laps around here, albeit not in GT Masters, in Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, he knows his way around here, so he is a very useful driver, proven by 49.765. So the times are starting to come tumbling down. Oh my goodness, we are less than 8 minutes already. Have I been rabbiting on for about 17 minutes? I'm so sorry.
Felt much longer.
It did, didn't it? 7.5 minutes left, so this is where the track is going to get busy. We do actually have every single car out on track now, trying to find some space and trying to build up the temperature into the tyres. And it's a process to get the heat into the tyres, because tyre warmers are not allowed in GT Masters, so it's about going around lap after lap, building up temperature, getting the tyres into the right window, and then you go for the hot lap.
You're absolutely right. You've nailed it perfectly. The thing is here, quite a short track. It is quite aggressive on the rubber because you're carrying so much. You're trying to do so much through the small amount of turns there are. But it takes more than a lap to bring those tyres up into that operating temperature. You need to do a number of circuits to get them up there. So it's Jackson Evans from Muller from Menzel. Make that Evans from Mappelli now, as we ride on board with Marco Mappelli, having gone second fastest with a 49.525. It's very, very close, because there is but 5/10 between the top 5 drivers at the moment, Brian.
Yeah, the balance of performance working very well here. The cars, some are front engines, some are rear engines, some are turbocharged, some are not, but all very, very level as a result of a formula that the cars run to that means that they are on a very much a level playing field. The 49.406 that Jackson Evans has recorded at the moment as the fastest time is still just a fraction slower than yesterday's. I won't do the maths, but yesterday's at 49.384. So we're not quite up to yesterday's speeds yet, but I think that is going to change very soon. Sven Muller now improves further still. No, Maxi Gertz now popping up into P4. So Maxi Gertz, who we've spoken about already, has done many laps here around the Norisring, and he is now up into, well, he's just dropped down again because there are cars popping up all the while. One of them being Nico Menzel, 49.295. That is a new fastest lap of the weekend. So Nico Menzel up to the top of the timing sheets, 49.295, and that is a great time. So Menzel goes quickest, but keep an eye on Jackson Evans. Well, he was purple in the middle sector, but sectors 1 and 3 less spectacular. But Jackson Evans, didn't have the best of days yesterday by his standings. He and Tim Zimmerman coming home in 7th place. We're expecting more than that. They came into this weekend as the points leaders, and they exited yesterday as no longer the points leaders, because it's Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller who have jumped to the top of the points charts as a result of their position yesterday. There's Ben Green, another who had, by his standards, a poor day yesterday and looking to make up for that. Currently in 7th place, 49.586. As we ride on board with Marco Mappelli, a driver who has been on the scene for a few years now, a really, really entertaining driver, but also a great mentor to his co-pilot. Having said that, Benjamin Heites is hardly a spring chicken in terms of GT racing. He's been doing this for a few years, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, and I first met him when we were together in North America, where he was racing in big GT cars. So yes, you're absolutely right. It's not a newbie.
So what about yesterday's winner? Well, Elias Seppänen, who shared the duties with Salmon Vega yesterday, currently in P3, a 49.444, so about a 10th and a half off the pole position time at the moment that has been set by Nico Menzel. But he, once again, another driver who is just slowly building up the heat in the tyres and getting faster. Ralph Aron, who finished in 4th place yesterday along with Alain Valente. He's also out there, and he stops the clock at a 49.586. So that slots him into 8th place. So with 3.5 minutes remaining, it is that car there, the red, white and blue Porsche of Nico Menzel, who continues to improve. Personal best in Sector 1, a purple in Sector 2. Let's see what he can do out of Sector 3 across the line, and stops the clock. It's going to be a 49.107, so close to that magic 48. Is somebody going to get there in the next 3 minutes? It's a definite possibility. Nico Menzel is Porsche 1st and 2nd, because Jackson Evans in 2nd place, a 49.406, but almost 3/10 off now. Is this going to be an improvement? He crosses the line. It's still 2nd, and it's a 49.354. So 0.247, so 2.5 tenths off the fastest time. So already the time's a lot quicker than yesterday. And yesterday's winner, Elias Seppänen, in P3. Right, Sven Muller is becoming a very Porsche-related affair here, because Muller jumps up into 2nd now, 49.282. So it's Porsche, Porsche, Lamborghini, Porsche. There's a bit of a theme. And then a couple of Mercedes. So Seppänen and Gertz. Well, Seppänen down to 5th, Gertz down to 6th. Ben Green in 7th. I think we've got more to come from him still as we see the BMW. And also there, that is Ralph Aron, a driver who we has seen doing a number of other classes over the years, but back into GT3 racing and enjoying his time. Personal best in Sector 1 and 2. Ralph Aron crosses the line, and he is in 6th place. So time's starting to come tumbling down. Less than 2 minutes remaining.
Yes, and with a 49.107, it is possible that we're going to see him into the 48s. I think it's perhaps not the slam dunk that we predicted, because 1 3/4 minutes left. I'm not sure, but Nico Menzel, obviously, with a very good job indeed. Sven Muller P2, Marco Mappelli P3, and Jackson Evans rounding out the top 4 at the moment as Yip E heads towards the timing line now. It's a P10. I can't help but feeling Ralph Aron will be perhaps a little bit disappointed. He was P6 a moment ago, but Seppänen has just pushed him back down the order to P7.
So Elias Seppänen continuing to improve, so 6th place for him. Here's Sven Muller, our new championship leader, along with Finn Gersitz. You can see it was purple in Sector 2, so Sven Muller remaining in 2nd place, but he's now into the 49.1s as well. He is 0.08 of a second off Nico Menzel's time, so getting closer. I wonder whether Nico Menzel has now taken the most out of those tyres, and that's kind of what you want, really, with less than a minute remaining. You want to maximise the tyres, get the most out of them at the end of the session. Maxi Gertz, a personal best in Sector 1, but not in Sector 2. He's currently in 6th place. He'll be disappointed with that, will Maxi. Jackson Evans, it's about tying up all 3 sections. You see Jackson Evans, well, he's up into P3, another into the 49.1s, this time at 49.175, but it's about linking up sectors 1, 2 and 3, and not necessarily purple in all 3 sectors, but just having really solid flowing times between the 3 sectors. But at the moment, the Porsche appears to be the weapon of choice, really using all of the track, brushing up against the wall. Nico Menzel, he's not going to improve on this one, is he? It's a 49.551, so 4/10 off his pole position time. The clock strikes 0. So any drivers that are on a hot lap at the moment have crossed the start-finish line before it struck 0. Their time will count. But it is Porsche in 1, 2 and 3. All 3 Porsches in the top 3 positions. And it's that car there which is stealing the headlines, because Nico Menzel currently on provisional pole position, and that's very soon going to become the confirmed pole position, because I can't see anybody beating it ahead of Sven Muller and Jackson Evans. There is the checkered flag. So it is Menzel from Muller, from Evans, Marco Mappelli in 4th. So good job from the Lamborghini. Yesterday's winner, Elias Seppänen, mid-grid in P5 ahead of Maxi Goertz. So the 2 Mercedes very much together. Ben Green, I can't help a feeling that he will be disappointed with a 7th ahead of Ralph Aron. Kim Louis Schramm and Dylan Yip. Just to remind you, Dylan Yip and co-driver Kwanda Mokoena, it is their first ever time on a street circuit and in a GT3 car as well. Baptism of fire much, I think so, and they will continue to improve as the season goes on. But the headlines belong to Nico Menzel, a 49.107. That is the quickest time. A replay on board with Marco Mappelli. Oh, the wing mirror. We've been getting through those. Was that yesterday, today? I think that's a new one for today. So he's got a bit of a habit of wiping off the wing mirrors against the wall. Let's get close to the wall. Not that close, eh? So, yeah, good trade in spare parts in wing mirrors down at Lamborghini. So there is Marco Mappelli, and taking a different route to the other cars, probably heading towards the scales. I imagine he has been called in for a weight check. But it is Nico Menzel from Sven Muller at Jackson Evans, the 1, 2, 3. All in Porsches that lead the way and are going to be starting 1, 2, 3 on the grid. Keep an eye on Sven Muller this afternoon in the 91 car, along with Finn Gersitz. They're at the top of the point standings. They had a 3rd place yesterday. It means they're going to be carrying an extra 5 kilos. And what was he picked up there? That's a little bit of debris that has become attached to the Lamborghini, the number 63 Marco Mappelli Lamborghini. And I think that's probably not an aerodynamic advantage. So that is your headlines then. Nico Menzel on pole position for this afternoon's race, with Sven Muller and Jackson Evans filling out the 1, 2, 3. Marco Mappelli and Elias Seppänen up there rounding out the top 5. Then it's Maxi Goertz, Ben Green and Ralph Aron in 8th place. You can see how close the timing is. Half a second separating the top 9, because Kim Louis Schramm is in 9th. And then Dylan Yip, good job in the Liqui Team X, the Audi, just improving, nibbling away bit by bit and getting better, and he will start in 10th place. So the crowd look down in the sunshine, and we will be getting ready for what will be race 4 of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. All being well, starting at 3:15 local time here in the streets of Nuremberg. It will be race 4 of a 12-race season. It'll be that man there who will start in 3rd place. Jackson Evans in the Huber Racing Porsche, Christoph Huber's team, who has joined GT Masters this year, having made his name very much in Porsche Carrera Cup over the years. Sven Muller also in a Porsche in the team used by Race Motion Porsche, starting on the outside front row. But it's another Huber car, not the same team. Huber Motorsport that starts on pole position. Reinhard Huber's team will be starting with Nico Menzel at the wheel in the number 25 Porsche on pole position for this afternoon's race. Race 4 for the ADAC GT Masters here on the streets of the Norisring. So So the crowd will be entertained all day long, and we see the points because points are awarded for the 1, 2, 3, of course, in qualifying. And Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller, they open it to 4 points ahead of Janis Fitcher and Nico Menzel. This is going to get so close. And then Tim Zimmerman and Jackson Evans third in the point standings. But that will all change. Join us this afternoon for what will be a brilliant race. We just know it. The ADAC GT Masters are back in 2023, and it will be race 4 of the season here from the Norisring. We'll see you this afternoon. Bye-bye.
Are you ready? It's the 2023 season of